What do you think? So, I'm Shah from Compare.Parts. This is my Nissan Skyline R33 GTR. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the build. Now, I know in America you guys are getting R33 GTRs, which is amazing, and it's a great platform to work on and to build from. They run the RB26s as well, and I think next year you're going to be getting, or the year after, you're going to get R33 GTRs. If you want to build an RB26 with 800 wheel horsepower and do it right, then watch this video. If you kind of want to wing it and go for 2-3 engines and convert them into coffee tables, then maybe don't watch this video. Maybe pick up a Haynes manual on the car, pick up your Fisher-Price toys and crack on, you know? It's an RB26 head, it's an RB30 bottom end. Why am I going 30? Because I've got a big ass turbo that needs spooling, and the 26 just doesn't push enough air, enough exhaust to get that turbo, to give it the energy that it needs to get going. By far one of the best sounding turbos. I challenge you to find a better sounding turbo than the HKS T51. All the head work has been done. So we're talking about the biggest cams you can get with the biggest duration. I'm kind of one of those people that you look in the catalogue and you look through the list and you go, okay, here's all the mild profile cams, and I go right to the bottom. That's the most extreme cams, that all the head work needs to be done. You have to have special pistons because the cams are like with the valves. That's the ones that I end up picking up. I'm a little bit in the sense that I'll try and go for the biggest and the baddest setup possible. So it sounds like a drag car, and it was a drag car. So I'm just a passenger. 10-second car, 10-second road legal car. Yes, I watch Fast and Furious like everybody else, and yes, I wanted to build a 10-second car. We've got the HKS fuel rail here with the ID 1000 injectors. When you get the HKS fuel rail, don't get the wrong one. I bought a 10.5mm one. On the HKS, on the injector dynamics, the top hats are 11mm. I'm running all Teflon fuel rails, Teflon hoses. I really can't speak today. Teflon hoses all the way from the front to the back. Don't get the rubber ones, they permeate, and you're sitting in your car high, and if you've got a friend that's smoking, you'll be sweating buckets worrying that, oh my God, is the fuel gonna ignite? I've got 5 bar fuel pressure running around. Get the proper fuel lines. I'm running 2 AN8s either side of the fuel rail with an AN8 return that goes into the fuel pressure regulator, from the fuel pressure regulator, into the back, into the swirl pot. Right, what else? There's so much stuff done to this car. Throttle body, get rid of that mechanical crap. The old cable system, that's old school technology. We're not doing that anymore, right? Let's bring this car up to today's standard. Drive-by-wire. Now I know me and one other guy that are running drive-by-wire on this. You know, if somebody else is doing it, I haven't heard of it yet. But there's 2 of us that are running drive-by-wires. One of the guys is doing it on the individual throttle bodies. I'm using an LS7 throttle body. Why? Because you guys in America are really good with your documentation. Thank you. So it was really easy to kind of wire that up, get it all set up. The pedal in the car is an R35 GTR pedal, which runs the LS7 throttle body. So why? Better idle control, which you need when you've got stupid cams like I do and you can't go less than 20 miles an hour. And also you get all the things like flat shifting and a whole bunch of other stuff on the ECU, which I'm not using yet, but eventually will be using. Intercooler, HKS intercooler. We had to kind of chop off the ends and make them a little bit bigger. My tuner said go like 20% bigger than the outlet on the turbo. So the outlet on my turbo is like 80mm, 76 to 80mm. So we've got 90mm pipework all the way here, and we've got 100mm throttle body here with the LS7 throttle body. Wiring, get rid of that Nissan wiring loom. There's a company called Wiring Specialities out in the US, and they sell kind of brand new looms. Do it. Bin the standard Nissan loom. It's like a 20-odd year old loom, right? The wires are kind of frayed, they're a bit old, they're a bit stale, they're a bit crusty. Get a new loom in it. This has all got ray chain wiring on it, mil-spec connectors on it. You know how much time I wasted with electrical problems down to bad earths. The amount of kind of hacks you have to do to the loom to make it work, the problems you have with your coil packs because you don't have good enough earth. I mean, this thing was like crazy, the amount of wires going left, right, and center just to get good earths because the existing loom was rubbish. I got a proper loom on the car, and since then, touch wood, I haven't got no wood around here, touch carbon, there was no problems after that. This is the CAS trigger wheel. Right, so you'll see this on a lot of cars. The standard CAS is probably good to like 500-600 horsepower. When you start going above that, you're gonna have issues. And you have issues called timing scatter. And I've actually seen it when they're mapping the car. The cam belt here has a slight little bit of movement. Not a huge amount, just a slight bit of movement. And that slight bit of movement is enough to go 1 or 2 degrees either side. Now, 1 or 2 degrees either side when you've got a light tune, maybe not a big deal. When you're running like 700 to 800 horsepower, that's the difference between kaboom and no kaboom, or engine and no engine, or fun and no fun, right? So get a decent setup. You're talking about a really old technology, the old CAS sensors, and if you ever pull one of them apart, they've got a kind of little optical sensor that's in it. You can get lots of different options for it. Platinum Racing Products do a solution for it. We've got it listed on our website. This is Ross Performance. I spoke to the MD of Ross Performance for about 2.5 hours. Really, really cool guy. He hooked me up with the CAS trigger wheel and the crank trigger wheel as well, and the pulley for the dry sump pump, which I hope I've already talked about. If I haven't, sorry. So this was the new setup. It actually changed the tone of the engine, like they said on the site. It has now 720 degrees worth of cam timing. This obviously just tells the ECU whether it's on the intake stroke or the exhaust stroke, and the crank trigger wheel obviously says whereabouts in the cycle it is. The normal crank trigger wheel they give you is like 12 teeth or 16 teeth. I think I got 36 teeth, which is what my tuner recommended. So all good with that. Dry sump setup. I am running a dry sump setup on this car. Why? Because last time I was on track and I was going around corners and I was there racing people, gapping people, you know, well, in some cases trying to keep up with the caterhams, in other cases flying past them on the straights. But on the corners, they had me. I mean, they weigh like 2 kilograms or something compared to this. I was checking the logs and I was watching my oil pressure, and the oil pressure was dropping to about a bar when I was cornering really, really hard. And this is quite a stiff setup. It's got a cage in it, really good suspension. The suspension on it is built by Meister R, amazing company. Definitely go talk to them if you need a suspension setup for this. Why? The owner of Meister R has an R33 Skyline GTR. So if you've got a Skyline, you're out in the States, go with Meister R. Trust me, it's been well tested. I'm running their GT1, which is their kind of flagship product, and they're working on a couple more. What else? I got totally sidetracked. Damn, what was I talking about? Brands Hatch, that's it. So Brands Hatch, I'm round the track, check the log files. Oil pressure was dropping to about 1 bar. And that's a bit worrying. You know, you would really want to push these cars on the track and they always have oil starvation problems. So at that point, that was it, I had enough. So, a little bit of advice for you guys. If you're going to be pushing a car, one of these cars, to big power, the standard sump will not be sufficient. Let me repeat that. The standard sump is not sufficient. All right. The oil pickup is in the middle of the sump. When you're flooring it, all the oil sloshes to the back of the sump. So the oil pickup can suck in air. And then, you know, you're screwing everything inside that engine, right? That's not what you want. So you can get baffles, and you get little baffles with little letter boxes that kind of open and close, and they all look really cool. And Tom might do a kit for that. You can throw that in there. I've got that on my Altezza over there. It's another day, another video, whatever. So that's one route. You can get the Trust Sump extension, so which basically adds a huge amount. And the oil, I think it goes up to like 9 liters worth of oil on a Trust Sump extension, which is all good. It's all great. But you have to be careful with every single speed hump you go to, every petrol or gas station that you go to. Everywhere you go, you're like, am I gonna hit my sump? You've got like your whole belly of your car, and then you've got this sump that sits underneath it. And you can kind of see it, and you're just constantly paranoid. The amount of times I've scraped that, because the roads in the UK are terrible, absolutely terrible. So dry sump is the way to go. It is the way forward if you want a solid, reliable RB engine that you can beat the crap out of. And I do beat the crap out of this car. I do and I don't. Some people say I'm a bit scared to push it hard, but nah. You know, you spend this much time, this much effort, this much energy on a car like this. You know, I'll let it warm up first before going out and booting it, whatever. This is Shah from Compare.Parts. I hope you found that video useful. Like, comment, share, subscribe, the usual yada yada. I'll see you on the next one. No one rings you when you got a GTR because they know you got no money.
Yeah, everyone comes in my GTR. They all join me on Forza and they come in my GTR.
Ah. Right, okay, what Forza? What car?
Huh?
What GTR on Forza?
R33.
33?
Yeah.
My man.
GTR.
My man.
Carbon front end.
Carbon front end as well?
Yep.
Respect.
It's purple.
Yes.
Got a white cage just to touch it up.
It looks pretty familiar to what's in front of you.
Oh yeah, that's it. Same car.
So you have this car in front of you on Forza?
This is that car, yeah.
Ah, sweet. That's really cool.
Same reg, same everything.
Really?
I'll be honest, this is my car.